Hello, my very good friends, and welcome to this week's market analysis with Romet Dominic. Last week was extremely volatile in the market. We saw the prices starting to recover and stabilize this week. What caused such a massive price movement in the market, and what can we do to mitigate against it? It seems that last week, some of the reports for the US companies, big tech companies, came in. And what we saw from the charts that is on my screen is that Apple, Walmart, amongst other companies like Amazon, saw very good earnings and revenue coming, which seemed to actually change the general sentiment of the market, that we are actually a bit away from the recession as it is painted by the main media news. Like you can see from the chart here, we have even the Nasdaq rallying up because of this news that came in, that these different companies actually have a very good earning report in terms of revenue. Now, another critical thing that happened last week was that there was a very massive bank crisis, and that happened with First Republic Bank. We saw from the reports that came in from First Republic Bank, we saw them losing about 40% in terms of their customers' deposit into their bank. And when some of their customers try to call them to say what is happening and maybe get on analysis call with them, what they did was to walk away from the call after 12 minutes of that particular call. So this actually made a lot of investors to be skeptical about what they are up to, and they pulled their money out of the market. When they pulled their money out of the market, we saw the stock of FRC Bank go down about 75%. 3 months ago, we saw the same thing happen with the banking sector. Now we had the banks like the Silver Valley banks, we had the bank like the Signature Bank, even Credit Suisse Bank. Currently, they are no more at the moment. Maybe some of them were bought over by bigger investors, and that was a case that also happened with First Republic Bank. When First Republic Bank lost 40% of its customers' deposit, we saw JP Morgan coming to say that they will buy up that particular bank. However, that actually made much more money to be injected into the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'm very certain that was one of the major reasons why we saw that there was another rally in terms of the Bitcoin price in the last week that happened. So we saw Bitcoin actually doing something very interesting in the market. Bitcoin actually rallied up from the $27,000 range and rallied up to the $30,000 range before it consolidated at this point where we are at now. We are $28,000 in the market. It actually has been a year that the banking sector come to us like they cannot be trusted. So for me personally, I feel if I'm to have a good portfolio, I would leave some of my money in Bitcoin and have a little bit of trust in the banking system. However, it is interesting for us to quickly stop looking at the fundamentals in the market and look at only the facts that is available in the chart. We take 3 data points from 2013, and these 3 data points we take from 2013 would enable us see what is actually happening in the market. In 2013, we had the Bitcoin rally up to about $1,108, and you can see that when it rallied up to this all-time high, you can see it's retraced and bottomed out in 2015. Now there are 2 lines on my chart. These 2 lines on my chart, one of them is the 50 moving average line, the other one is the 21 moving average line. And when Bitcoin bottomed out in 2015 after that rally up in 2013, you can see that it bottomed out just exactly where the 50 moving average line is. It then means that the 50 moving average line has been acting as a support for us in the market. Now once that particular bottom out came, you can see that Bitcoin actually started rallied up again and made a similar move like that in 2017. You can see that this time in 2017 it rallied up to about $19,000, which I put in this horizontal line here, $19,700, and then it came back again to be able to bottom out in 2018 around January 2018 here, just like you can see on my chart. And it was this 50-day moving average that actually did what? That actually held as a support. It broke the 21-day moving average, which you can see here. It broke it here, and then this held as a support. And we saw a repetition of this market cycle happen. Now let's look at this current day and the last trend that happened with Bitcoin. From that 2018 bottoming out, which is the second data point that we looked at, we saw another uptrend. That uptrend actually gave us a double top, and we saw that it gave us the all-time high at $64,000. However, that was what happened in 2021, and then we had a retrace in the market. But you can see that currently with the 50-day moving average, we have broken below the 50-day moving average, and we have started consolidating. We've been consolidating since June 2022, and currently we are seeing that particular bottoming out at December 2022. And you can see that currently we have Bitcoin has printed about 1, 2, 3, 4 green candles. We're able to break through the 50-day moving average resistance line and starting to form a good support here at the 21-day moving average. Now, when it forms this particular type of support here, what we see is that the micro downtrend retest for Bitcoin might be less likely to happen, because what if this support, when you are dealing with resistance and support, at every point in time, every resistance becomes a support, and every support becomes a resistance. If this is able to flip itself, we can see that Bitcoin possibly breaks through this resistance of the 21-day moving average and continues to rally up. However, it's good to actually note that whenever an all-time high is broken in the market, just like we saw Bitcoin did in this particular chart, so it broke its last all-time high here, there's always a retest in the market. So if Bitcoin is to retest from this point, which we're actually expecting Bitcoin to quickly come down and maybe do that retest before the month of this May happened, we'll see Bitcoin maybe coming down to test in this new candle that it formed, and it formed a new candle above, and it should have come down to test somewhere around this place, which is about the macro downtrend price of about 21,200. However, if that particular drop is to happen in this month of May, that is the target that we should be looking at. If that drop is to take much more longer time to happen, then it might possibly have a lower price range, about $20,300 happening in the chart, which $300 happening in the chart. If that takes to June before the retest happen, a retest in the market is something that might be inevitable. However, we've also seen Bitcoin defy the situation of maybe the market is coming to retest itself in 2015. So there's high possibility that because the halving is also coming, which is going to happen in about 1 year time, we might see the supply of Bitcoin reducing, and we might see more investors not trying to dump their tokens. How about for Ethereum? What do we have with Ethereum in the market? Ethereum in the market, on our chart here, we can see that Ethereum actually came down to retest a critical support at about $1,150 here, just like you can see on this line. And if the secret to charting analysis is to always look left. And if you go back in my chart like this, you will see that I took a horizontal line back to this highest point of Bitcoin in Ethereum in 2018, and you can see that the price of Ethereum at that 2018, when it had its all-time high, was about 1,150. When Bitcoin rallied up to its all-time high in 2021, it came back to retest that same price point in 2022. And you can see that when it retested that price point in 2022, it rallied up from the 50-day moving average, because the 50-day moving average most times always acts as a bottom for the market. You can see this re-entry point, it was the 50-day moving average that acted as a bottom here too. At this re-entry by the 50-day moving average acted as a bottom here for it. When the 50-day moving average acted as a bottom here for it, you can see a consolidation here. It rallied up again to be able to retest this particular price point, and you can see that this particular price point is currently sitting at about $1,980. When it rallied to test this particular price point, it failed again and did a double bottom at the same price, $1,150, of which you can see that it has started rallying back up, which actually shows a good market structure for Ethereum. And it has started rallying back up. When it rallied back up, you can see that it has broken this particular price point, and this particular price point might likely not turn into a support for it, because you can see the wick of the candle coming out of this particular price point of 1,150. So Ethereum has actually been showing good strength in the market, and truly May has been one critical month that has seen that most cryptocurrencies actually experience good returns in the market. However, it is important for us to look at some critical points that I jotted down. That the 21-month moving average has actually held as support in bull market, and it is currently being tested as resistance. If the Bitcoin is actually to flip that particular level, right, this would be the next big test for Bitcoin. And then when you are coming off the bear market bottom in previous cycle, Bitcoin has actually printed that number of candles that I counted for you previously. 4 to 5 green candles have been printed in the month of January to April alone, and we can see that we can either continue to go up to print the next big fifth candle, or maybe have a retest, which is a healthy correction that might quickly happen in the market. May has been one of the strongest months in the market for Bitcoin, and all throughout history. In 2016, Bitcoin rallied 18%. In 2017, it rallied 70%. In 2019, it rallied 62%. In 2020, it rallied 10%. In 2023, what will be the rally that we'll have for Bitcoin in this month of May, seeing that we actually closed the monthly candle of April at a very good price point, which actually is good for the macro uptrend of Bitcoin. For Ethereum, we saw that Ethereum actually found that particular support on the 50-day month moving average, and May has actually also been a very strong month for Ethereum. And because it has been a very strong month for Ethereum, we also see the data that Ethereum has also rallied by in the last few years, using May as a critical example. It rallied 191% in 2017, it rallied 71% in 2019, 12% as compared to 10% for Bitcoin in 2020. And then in 2023 now, what would be the percentage at which it will rally up from this particular point? Well, of course, most investors who don't want to see low BTC price, the sooner this retest occurs, the better for them. But for margin buyers, it is good for them to maybe dollar cost average. So a lot of them might be looking at buying Bitcoin at a lower point. But as time passes, right, the following question will start to appear. How long can BTC maintain the highs until the retest option is maybe not void, just like we looked at in that scenario of 2015, that Bitcoin did not repeat what was in the theoretical aspect of maybe market analysis. It actually did what was in its mind and did not have a retest of that particular market. However, if price maintains this high for too long, and we can just possibly come to the terms that this retest might not what happen. However, this is a rhetorical question that does not need answering just yet. In the full version of this particular market analysis, we'll cover 4 more charts, and we'll look at a situation where there's a strong bull case for the month of May. And I dropped some alts in the premium signal room, and some of them that I dropped earlier actually have done really good amount of profits, up to about 80%. Like some of them that I dropped today, you can see 18% done and dusted here, 14% in profit, and we'll just call this particular one for people to engage. Listen to the market analysis and being able to actively engage in the market for profit making and making profits from the volatility should always be your end point. And you coming into the community and being part of the tribe, right, would give you access to our full market analysis, also gives you access to the monthly coins that we do recommend. And these coins are always recommended by our artificial intelligence robots. You are also going to be gaining access to those signal rooms that I just showed you now. You're also going to be able to access some of my books and my courses that is available on Verem.co. And you can also access our money market, where you can transact large volumes of OTC market deals and escape the stress of the peer-to-peer dispute, the delays, the limitations that are available, especially when you want to purchase large volumes of these cryptocurrencies. You also get the exclusive weekly market analysis videos session with me on Zoom, and also on Google Meet. All these and much more is what you get from becoming part of the tribe. You are able to engage your capital and make profits from the volatility in the market. Also, you have this information that will help you to maximize your profits on a weekly basis, and have access to my private Zoom sessions and my Google Meet sessions. Until next time, my very good friends, I believe you are now well informed of the next direction of the market and how to protect your capital from wreck city. See you.